Hello, and thanks for joining us today for our wireless security video series, demo number 2, the Honeypot AP. These are the basics. So we decided to split the Honeypot APs into a basic and a more advanced techniques. And so today we'll talk about the basics of Honeypot APs. Okay. So what is a Honeypot AP? A Honeypot AP, it's also known as an evil twin. Is an access point that a hacker can set up on his laptop as a software AP that will spoof the SSID of a corporate wireless network or a hotel or a hotspot. It's really up to the attacker as to what he really wants to target. Again, the attacker will set this up usually on his laptop using a Linux distribution and a supported wireless card that has injection capabilities. So how does the Honeypot AP work? So really the attacker is going to set up a fake access point, usually outside the building. He's going to spoof the SSID of his target wireless network. This could be, again, a hotel, it could be a hotspot, or a corporate WLAN. He's going to use a high gain antenna to broadcast the spoofed SSID at a higher signal strength than his target network. He's going to lure the clients to connect to his fake access point or Honeypot AP. He can do this by running a deauthentication attack against the legitimate or the target access point, kicking the users off that to then potentially connect to his Honeypot AP. And he can also provide internet access using a 3G or 4G cellular card to make it a little more transparent to the end user. So what other types of Honeypot APs are there? So we have the Honeypot-WPE, which is the wireless Ponage edition, really to demonstrate the radius impersonation vulnerabilities. It's going to target the PEEP, the LEAP, the EAP-TTLS, EAP-MD5, EAP-MS-CHAP v2. And what they do is they capture the challenge and response pair, which can then be potentially cracked offline with a dictionary attack. Second type is a honeypot with karma, which we'll demonstrate later. And this uses the airbase-ng with the -p option. And what this does is it responds to all probe requests. So if your client has ever connected to, say, a hotel or a hotspot, and those SSIDs are in their wireless client profile. So when they come back into the office and they boot up their laptop, first thing it's going to do is that laptop is going to start looking, probe requesting for all those SSIDs, and so what the karma does is it will respond and allow the user to connect. Okay, so we have a few pre-built hacking devices here. Really started to become popular recently, and again, these devices are cheap. They're very portable. They've got battery pack compatibility. They're very disposable. Most of them are under $100. They've got call home functions. So a few of them here. We have the Pony Express, the Wi-Fi Pineapple Mark IV, the Mini Poner, and the Raspberry Pi. Okay. Here's a visual example of what a Honeypot AP attack could look like. It's again a attacker in the parking lot broadcasting SSIDs from his car with a high gain antenna, really trying to penetrate the inside of the buildings to be able to get the clients to connect. Okay. Are there any freely available tools out there? And there's plenty. There's the aircrack-ng suite. It's available on most Linux distributions, as well as the Backtrack pen testing distribution that we will be using for our demonstration. There's also Windows 7, and a lot of people don't really consider soft AP or Honeypot AP with Windows 7, but it actually comes with a virtual AP feature when it's paired with a supported adapter. So what you can do is you can bridge the wireless traffic to your wired adapter. Again, basic functionality doesn't have the feature set like aircrack-ng, but if you want to set up a quick fake access point or Honeypot AP, this is the tool to do. There's also Host APD, probably one of the oldest and one of the most stable software AP implementations. It's used by a lot of access points as well. So what's the impact on enterprise wireless networks? So probably the top one is going to be data theft. So as the attacker lures these clients to connect to his Honeypot AP, he's really creating a man-in-the-middle situation, and he can capture all the traffic between the endpoints. He can steal information, he can capture usernames and passwords, he can see all your browsing habits, he can see what you're looking for, what you're searching for, all the images, etc. There's also potential to infect the system, the victim's system, with malware and gaining access at the operating system level by creating a fake update server. So the second one would probably be a denial of service. So he's going to lure the clients into a black hole, so to speak, not giving them any internet access, just kind of letting them sit there. At this point, he can then scan the systems looking for any interesting ports on the system to exploit later. So here's a Honeypot example using airbase-ng. It's a real simple command line tool to use. It's got a lot of options. You can set the channel, you can set your SSID, you can set security or no security depending on what you really want to do. It can be scripted, which we'll show later on in the demo, that you can be scripted to include some of the other attack vectors. Again, it works with many wireless adapters as long as the adapter supports injection. Here's the Honeypot example number 2 with Windows 7 and the Intel My Wi-Fi technology. Again, this is a GUI, so it's really easy to configure. It supports soft AP with encryption or no encryption, and you can bridge the wired interface to give your users full network access. So here's my demo hardware setup real quick. I've got a laptop running VMware. I've got 2 guests, VMware guests running. I've got the attacker running Backtrack 5R2, and the victim running Windows XP Service Pack 2. So again, the attacker is going to put their wireless adapter into monitor mode. He's going to set up the Karma AP attack. He's going to broadcast the corporate SSID, the company being targeted, and he's going to have the Karma will also respond to all probe requests. So he's doing kind of a twofold attack. He's attacking the target access point, which could be a corporate AP or a hotel or a hotspot, as well as attacking the clients, what they're really looking for. Equipment needed, again, we're going to use the VM virtual machine, Backtrack BT5R2, and a couple of supported wireless USB adapters. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. And so we have our Backtrack 5 system here. We have our Windows XP system here. First thing I'm going to do, and what I usually like to do, is I want to check for injection. So let's go ahead and make sure we have a wireless adapter connected. So using the iwconfig command will list your connected wireless adapters. So the next thing I want to do to run the test is I'm going to put my card into monitor mode, AirMagnet. So AirMagnet start and my wireless interface. So what this does is it puts my wireless card into monitor mode and gives me a monitor interface mon0. So now I can run the error replay-ng-9 followed by my monitor interface. Okay. Now again, it really quickly says that injection is working and it's able to send directed probe requests to that particular access point. Again, you don't need to do this, but I tend to do it. It's good habit to make sure that your card is actually working properly. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the monitor interface, and I think we're all ready to go here. So I've got it again all scripted, Evil Twin Honeypot AP program here. So what it's going to do, it's going to set up the software AP. It's going to set up a DHCP server. It's going to bridge my wired to my wireless network to give the client internet access. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set my WLAN 0, my interface. I'm going to enter the channel I want to use, channel 7, and my SSID I want to spoof, Amy Demo 5. My wired interface is going to be ETH2, and my DNS I'm going to use 192.168.5.1. It's my internal network here. And so now the script that I've set up is going to just automate the whole process and set everything up for me automatically. So it's right now putting my card into monitor mode. It's going to randomize my MAC address. It's going to set up the access point, and it's going to then set up the DHCP server. It's going to create a tunnel interface, and at this point it's going to start up a DriftNet session so I can view any images that are the client is potentially looking at. The other thing I like to do as well is set up a TCP dump session so I can capture raw traffic. Okay. So right now we're looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and flip over to the client, and it's already connected. So due to the Karma attack, my client has already connected. I didn't need to do anything from a standpoint because this client had already connected to this network at one point in its life. So the Karma is responding to these probe requests for this network, and it allowed the client to connect, gave it an IP address. Okay. So the next thing I also like to do is, as more data gathering I can do, I'm going to run a Nmap session against my target client. So the Nmap is going to scan the system for any open ports that might look interesting. Okay. It's always good to see if there's anything that potentially you can exploit at a later time. Again, so it comes back with the typical Windows XP SMB listening ports. Nothing too interesting, but maybe something to look at for later time. Okay. So now I've got everything set up. I'm going to go back to the client again. The client doesn't know what's going on. He just thinks everything is great, no problems. Okay. So as a regular user, I'm going to go ahead and browse the network. Again, nothing looks out of the ordinary to the end user. So they're browsing. They, again, everything looks normal to them. But from an attacker standpoint, he's actually capturing as much data as possible. You can see the DriftNet session is going. We're capturing all of the images that are being displayed on the end user's browser page. So, as well as we're capturing all of the raw traffic from that session. So really, it's an eye-opener from a wireless administrator standpoint that these tools are out there that could potentially lure your clients to connect, as well as sniff and capture all the data that is out there. Okay, so from a AirMagnet Enterprise standpoint, we've got a few alarms here. We've got the potential Honeypot AP detected alarm. Again, we're spoofing our corporate SSID. We go onto the infrastructure screen, we can see that we actually have a AMI Demo 5. It's on a separate channel that the real AP is running on. It's got a different BSSID, and it's running no security at all. So that's definitely a red flag from a wireless administrator standpoint. If you see this on your network, it's probably something really bad. So we will trigger the Honeypot AP alarm, as well as the Karma tool, because again, we have an attacker that's responding to all probe requests. So again, we'll also list out the SIDs that the attacker is using to respond to those probe requests. As you can see, an AMI Demo 5 was the real target here. Okay. So again, the real point here is again, these tools are out there, and easy to run. They're not really sophisticated, but they get the job done, and they're freely available. Anyone can get this stuff, and so okay. Thanks again for joining us. We'll have a secondary video on more advanced techniques for honeypots.